As I come to a close, I grew up in an era of nicknames. As a matter of fact, I practice it to this very day. When I really love a person, I wind up finding a way to give them a nickname. This was just the way we grew up. This is just how we did. Everybody had a nickname when they were growing up. Even some of the people that you might know, I have nicknames for them. Our worship pastor, Jasmine, I named her Jazzy when she was just a little girl before she even became a worship pastor. I don't know why I did that. She had yet to even sing, but I nicknamed her in psalm, perhaps expectation that I knew one day that her voice would be that jazzy that we hear every week, that anointed that we hear all the time. And I don't know why I did that. I did it before she even learned to sing. And there have been others that I have shortened or changed their names. And I don't think of any name. I don't think that I've ever heard anyone with the name of Jabaz or a negative meaning. I never named anybody what I thought was a negative nickname. But but these people that we give nicknames to have something else to answer to. It's not the same name that you've had. My shout is, you and I have another name that we answer to because of what Christ did at Calvary. Yeah, I used to answer to non-believer, but now I answer to believer. I used to answer to not being saved, but now I answer to save. I used to not answer to being a child of God, but now I am God's child. I answer to being his servant. I answer to all the great things he has made me to be, which are none of the things that the devil wanted me to answer by. The devil wanted me to answer all the things that he thought he could make me in my life. All those places that he thought he can keep you in your life. He wanted you to answer to those names. But thanks be to God that our God is a name changer, and he changed your name. He changed who you were. He changed what the enemy said you would be, and you became a miracle. You became someone outstanding. You became someone that they said wouldn't make it, but you became someone who made it. God is a name changer. So call me what you will. You can call me what you will, but I'm only going to answer by what he called me. Yeah, you can call me anything you want, but there's a name that I'm not going to answer to if it's not my name. You're not going to answer to a name that's not your name, are you? You're only going to answer to a name that you know and recognize. So call me what you will, but I'm only going to answer to the name that I'm called by. I'm forgiven. My name is forgiven. My name is set free. My name is healed. My name is protected. My name is redeemed. I'm going to answer to the names that I know I'm called by because of what he did for me. He changed my name. It's not what you're called. It's always what you answer to. And I answer to the name that he's made me, the one who died for me, the one who died for you. You answer to his name. There is a name change that connects you to your Father. Let me help you and I'll be on your way. I'll tell you something about me that you may not know. I was not born with the last name of Moore. I was not born. My mother and father were teenage loves. And when my mother was giving birth to me, she went into the hospital with my grandmother. My father was away at school. And because I don't believe he was present at the time, they wrote on the birth certificate my mother's maiden name for me, which was Jefferson. So I had on my birth certificate the name Joel Jefferson. Matter of fact, it was a name that Joel Jefferson was a name that when I was in kindergarten and first grade, a lot of kids made fun of that name because it sounded so much like George Jefferson from the TV show The Jeffersons. So they would make fun of my name. But here's the shout, and I'll help you as I get ready to close, is that as my sister was born, my parents eventually got married a little bit later, and so my sister was born a Moore. And so I don't know what it was, a conversation with my mom or my dad, but all I knew was I always wanted to be like my father. I got a shout coming. I wanted to be what he was. I wanted to have his name. I knew I looked like him, and I wanted to be every bit like him. And so I wanted my daddy's name. And so for whatever reason, they took me to the courts. The courts, I remember being in the second grade. And I remember they took me to the court, and the lady had to ask me, is this what you really want? Is this what you really want? Do you really? I had to sign something. I had to verbally make a declaration that I agree with this name change. So I said yes. I was well ready to say, yeah, I want my daddy's name. And after signing some paperwork or whatever, I got my father's name and I received a name change. The name change simply was because I wanted to be connected to my father. I wanted to be every bit what he was and who he was. Of course, he was my daddy. I didn't want to walk around being different than what my father was. I didn't want to walk around getting questioned because my name is different than my mother who was married and my sister who was born and my father. I wanted their name and I got the name. After all, it was my inherited name. It was my name from the beginning because he was my father. I just had to have the change. And all I want to tell somebody is that when daddy changed your name, yeah, I remember when I went back to school. When I went back to school, when the teachers had changed the name on my desk. I remember when they would call my name in class and I'd raise my hand to Joel Moore. I remember the pride that I had that I got my daddy's name. All I want to tell somebody as I come to a close, because of Jesus at Calvary, all of us have got our father's name, and there ought to be some excitement. When you know that you're carrying daddy's name, there ought to be some confidence that come when you carry your daddy's name. I didn't care if they tried to make fun of me. My daddy's name was a good name. It wasn't like my mother's maiden name was a bad name, but I wanted my father's name. And all I want to tell somebody is I no longer answered to that name, that old name. I answered to the new name. Doesn't matter what you call me. It's what I answer to. Call me what you will. But I know who I am. I am delivered. I am redeemed. I am healed. I am free. I am his.